Camp X was also known as Special Training School 103, or STS 103, and was a camp located on the shore of Lake Ontario between Oshawa and Whitby. It served as a spy training camp from December 6, 1941 to 1944, but continued to operate as a wireless interception station for the Royal Canadian Corps of Signals until 1969, when the camp was shut down and all files were burned. During this time, it was codenamed The Farm and pretended to be a CBC broadcasting center. It was also called S-2511 by the RCMP and Project J by the Canadian military.
There were many spy training camps located throughout the world, all serving the British Military Intelligence Section 6, or MI6, branch named the Special Operations Executive, SOE. Camp X also served as a radio communications center known for its high-speed transmitter named Hydra, which would receive 12,000 messages each day. The camp was closely linked with the British Security Coordination, or BSC, which was located in New York City.
One reason for the creation of the camp was that the US was staying neutral during the early years of the war, so the British were trying anything they could do to get the US to join the Allies. When William Wild Bill Donovan was appointed as FDR's coordinator of information, he attempted to develop a secret group of secret agents. Camp X was created to help achieve this goal. Famous spy William Stephenson, codename Intrepid, was the principal facilitator of Donovan's project. Stevenson came to New York in 1940 as the station chief of British's SIS, Secret Intelligence Service, for the US. Using his connections throughout Canada, he found the perfect strategic location.
Another reason for the camp's creation was Winston Churchill himself. Churchill, who was located at Bletchley Park during the war, had been reading messages, planning moves, and communicating with Roosevelt throughout the war. Churchill had noticed the impending threat and how they were losing, so he decided that it would be in their best interest to build a spy training camp in Canada. He contacted Sir William Intrepid Stevenson, the head of the BSC, to set up a training school in Canada to get more agents who know the art of espionage. Once again, he used his connections to find a 275-acre property and bought it for $12 grand.
Being on the shore of Lake Ontario, it was only 30 kilometers away from the US border, thus allowing them to easily send signals to the US. This made it very remote and provided lots of seclusion. The camp also used the lake for nighttime procedures, where they would use black camouflage training to raid the camp for simulation missions. Its position also allowed them to send signals through South America and Europe, mainly London and the BSC. The camp was only 5 miles from DIL, Defense Industries Limited, currently known as the town of Ajax, which is the largest armaments manufacturer in North America. The German prisoner of war camp, which is in Bowmanville, the Canadian National Railway, and Oshawa Airport, which is the Royal Canadian Air Force Royal Air Force training facility for the Commonwealth, was near Camp X.
After the US was finally permitted to enter World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor, which was on December 7th of 1941, Donovan began to make his own schools in America. However, by 1942, the American camps were getting smaller and smaller, so Camp X accepted new recruits from America. Most recruits were from British-operated factories, and they were taught to defend their businesses from having a Nazi subversion. Canada has many immigrants which were willing to help out, such as the Chinese, Italian, French, etc. This meant there was a lot more diversification and secrecy within the camp, and an overall increased number of agents. Due to the fact that there were so many recruits, Lieutenant Colonel R.M. Brooker eased the demand by making special weekend courses for the OSS recruits. Even the communists got involved, as the Communist Party of Canada helped Yugoslav Canadians get into the camp. The most surprising though, 12 French trainees managed to advance to training in SOE's British finishing schools.
Brave men and women were trained in sabotage techniques. Subversion and intelligence gathering, lockpicking, explosives training, and radio communication. They were specially trained in the art of silent killing. And unarmed combat by William Ewart Fairbairn, who reportedly is the most talented silent killer in the world. Another overlooked aspect of the training was the psychological training. As their job would indicate, they operated in enemy territory, usually German-occupied Europe and Japanese-occupied Asia. If the agents were to be captured, the Geneva Convention would not protect them, and if they were to be interrogated, they would be captured, tortured, and executed. They would also need to be able to assess the possibility of a potential partisan and when they would need to fight. Those who would simply gather information will need to be trained to properly recognize comments against the government, allies, Nazis, and people's opinions on the war through instigated conversation, without throwing away their cover.
Camp X, being a school training people in the art of espionage, had to stay completely secret, or else the Germans would be very aware of its location and could attempt to destroy it. Thus, they must keep it secret from everyone except for those who needed to know. The general public was told that the antennas that were being set up, which are used to help send messages to Bletchley Park, were actually set up for the CBC. The Prime Minister, William Loyal Mackenzie King, himself wasn't told anything about Camp X as the BSC feared he might shut it down as a violation of Canada's sovereignty for Britain. The Prime Minister was only advised of the camp's existence when it was rumored that Igor Gruzenko was located at Camp X. The only few people who were told about this in Canada were the Defense Minister Colonel James Ralston, RCMP Commissioner Stuart Wood, and the head of the CBC.
Camp X was very helpful in the grand scheme of the war. Camp X served as a preliminary check to find excellent spies. Agents would have to complete a 10-week course where the commanding officers would assess them. The commanding officers would send their recommendations to SOE, who would then decide who they would wish to add to their team. Those who were chosen would be sent to Britain, where the SOE would reassess them once again. If they passed the reassessment, they would be sent to finishing school, where their skills would be refined further. They would then be assigned to specific missions which suit their skill sets. This was optimal procedure for Camp X, as it would have been much easier to send a few instructors to Canada than it would be to send 500 plus agents to Britain. This would also provide the SOE and MI6 with the best agents in each field of work, and it helped protect the MI6 from German spies. If Camp X didn't exist, a German spy could easily get his way into the SOE and the whole sector would go down. Finally, as previously mentioned, Camp X was the optimal position for communications between Bletchley Park and North America.
Although Camp X stopped training soldiers in 1944, it lived on. The whole of Camp X was given over to the Royal Canadian Corps of Signals, and it was renamed to the Oshawa Wireless Station. It was used as a wireless interception station. This essentially meant that they would use Hydra to secretly intercept messages sent between various groups of people, allowing them to gather more information on activities outside of the Canadian border. Hydra became important in transferring important information through radio communications, as it helped process a portion of traffic from the British code-breaking center in Bletchley Park. Canada also utilized Hydra more and more than it did with Camp X when it entered the Five Eyes, which was a community to share intelligence between America, Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, which had formed during the Cold War.
The Five Eyes wasn't the only time Camp X became involved with the Cold War. In September 1945, Igor Guzenko defected from the Soviet Union and hid in Ottawa with his wife and child, being protected by the RCMP. He revealed what Russian spies did against the Allies, making the public more aware of Cold War spying. After this, he hid in Camp X and he continued to reveal information about Soviet spies in North America to the RCMP, the British, and the FBI, and he would eventually help decode encrypted Russian messages.
There are many rumors about Camp X that have yet to be confirmed as true or not. The assassination of the SS top leader Reinhard Heydrich in Prague was rumored to have been carried out by Camp X, as reported by Stevenson. Also, Camp X is rumored to have sabotaged the Norsuk heavy water plant in Norway. The most popular rumor, however, is creator and author of James Bond, Ian Fleming, trained in Camp X. William Stevenson and Fleming were good friends, and Stevenson was a big influence on James' character. When he was training at Camp X, due to the lack of quarters at the camp, he lived in a military residence on 1107 Avenue Road, Toronto, which is across the street from St. James Bond United Church, which is believed to have been a reason for the name James Bond.
Camp X is considered one of the most unique points in Canadian history. It was a Canadian operation under the aegis of MI6 Chief of Operations. William Intrepid Stevenson, the head of the BSC and creator of Camp X, is also Canadian born. One of the more important aspects is that it's considered a cooperation between the major founding nations of Canada as well as other immigrants, the greatest example being the French Canadians. It fulfilled Canada's desire to see freedom in a new, unique form.
If I got picked today and went to Camp X to stay, tell me honestly, would I come home the same? If I was forced to withdraw because of all of my flaws, tell me honestly, would you inflame me with shame? Gotta go now.
If I went to war, girl, and I became a spy, are you still gonna make it by? I'm gonna Camp X. If you need to mail me, I'll be in Canada. Come find me near Oshawa. I promise I will write back. And yeah, I know it's hard to remember, but it started back in December. Man, I hate being a member. Would you believe that it has been a year? Tell me, would you help the kids for me? Dad's coming home, baby. I was told the war's gonna be over by Mr. Stevenson.
If I got picked today and went to Camp X to stay, tell me honestly, would I come home the same? If I was forced to withdraw because of all of my flaws, tell me honestly, would you inflate me with shame?
Skippity spy all day. All the fields of espionage, man, I can't decide. From Moscow to some sabotage. What if I do it all?
Camp X!
I met William Fairburn and Ian Fleming. I'll try to stop condemning. God, I'm gonna stand tall. And yeah, no, it's hard to remember. But it started back in December. Man, I hate being a member. Would you believe it's been a year?
Tell me, would you help the kids for me? Dad's coming home, baby. I was told the war's gonna be over by Mr. Stevenson.
If I got picked today and went to Camp X to stay, tell me honestly, would I come home the same? If I was forced to withdraw because of all of my flaws, tell me honestly, would you inflame me with shame?
Call me on the Hydra.
Hydra,
Tell me, would you call me?
call me.
If you knew that I was dying, cause I don't know how much longer I'll be here. Spy on, it's a Monday.
Monday,
Spy on, it's now Sunday.
Sunday,
Soon I swear I'll be on my way,
cause I know that I'll get out of here alive. If I got picked today and went to Camp X to stay, tell me honestly, would I come home the same? If I was forced to withdraw because of all of my flaws, tell me honestly, would you inflate me with shame? If I got picked today and went to Camp X to stay, tell me honestly, would I come home the same? If I was forced to withdraw because of all of my flaws, tell me honestly, would you inflate me with shame?